So right now we are beginning the journey of testing the Insta360 X3 right here versus the DJI Pocket 3 over there. X3, Pocket 3, and I'm just walking right now. It is super harsh bright light. I'm curious to see how both cameras handle that. The Insta360 is at 5.3 or 5.7K filming right now, 30 frames per second, and the Pocket 3 is at 4K 60. So they're both in, well, the Insta360 is in the 360 mode, and the Pocket 3 is just in the horizontal mode for now, but we can flip it in a second. Main thing that I wanted to start off with here is just the audio. How does the audio sound? I've got the audio mic set at like 20 on my head, so I'm going to boost that up a little bit because it looks like it's coming in a little low, and I've seen that be an issue before, so we're going to go ahead and boost that in a second. But whew, man, it is bright outside. That is for sure. So both cameras are now filming in 4K at 60 frames per second. The main thing here is that they're both in their auto mode. I'm not doing any extra color grading or editing or anything like that. This is just like, what does the camera suggest, and put it in that. Maybe there's a vivid color profile going on with the X3, but at the end of the day, both of the cameras have some other color options for professional filmmakers if you want to go higher up on the editing and things like that. The Pocket 3 certainly has the better option of the two as far as like the D-Log and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into all those details, but they're there for you if you want them. So if you're looking for like professional quality filming, then the Pocket 3 is for sure. But if you're just somebody out here making videos and you're trying to make vlogs or whatever, I think that kind of levels the playing field a little bit more between these two cameras. So we'll see how this goes. I'm kind of curious. Let's switch over to, I want to get both these cameras in the vertical 9:16 aspect ratio and just kind of see what we got going on here. So right now, something really interesting is going on. I'm having to film in the Insta360, the X3, in 3.6K at 30 frames per second, and the Pocket 3 is in 3K at 30 frames per second because I couldn't get crossover, which I think is interesting. So like I was going to just do 4K with the X3, but you can't do 4K vertical and at 60 frames per second with the X3. You have to go horizontal. So I didn't know that. Also, you can only get up to 4K 30 in the horizontal mode, so that's interesting. And then with the Pocket 3, you can go to 3K 60, but that's 3K, not 2.7K or whatever. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I figured I'd go ahead and film this just for a comparison of the quality, at least get us close to it. 3.6K versus 3K, 30 frames per second, 30 frames per second. Sunlight, not sunlight, rotating around, huge backlit. I mean, the field of view on the X3 is just huge compared to the Pocket 3. Obviously, you can have that clip-on field of view, but I really don't like the magnet thing. So while I could show you what it looks like, and I left it at home, I'm not, just because like I wouldn't want to carry that thing around all the time. Like if I had to pick a camera for a purpose, I don't like the idea of having to have that all the time. There's enough other things I gotta carry with it. So I guess I would technically have it with it, but I found myself not using it very often just because it was annoying to put on and off, and like when you turn the camera off with it on, it like can't close. So that's interesting. So just for full disclosure, I've got both of these cameras at 4K 30 now, so we're very aware of what's going on. I also have facial tracking going on with the action camera, and I think that when you have tracking going on, the camera stabilization seems worse because it's constantly moving to try and keep you in frame, whereas the X3 is just not doing that. Got people all around me, good stuff. The X3 is kind of just staying in one spot. You know, I could twist it back and forth and you've got that little angle there, but overall, nothing special. But if I turn this guy around, you can kind of see that one's following me. Whoop. I just realized my gimbal was off, so there's that. Overall though, I mean, I think the X3 is going to outdo the Pocket 3 for stabilization. I'm going to turn the stabilization off now, and just, you can kind of see how that plays out. What that means is that you really have to kind of pay attention to what you're doing with the Pocket 3 on the gimbal side. So like if I'm using the joystick to move it around, that makes a difference. We'll go back into shade here for a second, you can kind of see. So yeah. So I mean, if you kind of like really think about your movements with the gimbal, that can work. I don't know if there's a way to stabilize the gimbal. So the Action 3, of course, doesn't have that issue. Like the gimbal can lose me if I move too quickly, but the Action 3 is keeping me centered. So, or the X3. What do I call it? I call it Action 3. All right, let's do the next thing here. All right, this is 4K 24. you can see the field of view. The cameras are exactly the same distance from me, and that's what we're getting. So I'm gonna try and keep them that way. I'm chucking that one around a little bit, but you can see we're about to hit some sunlight. Woo! Super bright. And once again, the interesting thing is like the X3 is going to be more of a fixed image, whereas you're getting this floating effect with the Pocket 3. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I can kind of like see it happening. So, and I would want to hold the Pocket 3 out like this far just to get the same image as the X3. I'm still not getting it. So you're like straight arming this thing, but let's wrap around and get back in the sunlight here. There we go. There we go. So still 24 frames per second. I do think the wireless mic is a huge plus. Like at the end of the day, if I set these cameras down and walk away to film or do something, like I'll be in both frames, but the audio for the Pocket 3 is going to be so much better with the wireless mic setup. 24 frames per second, I think that's, you know, that's a good thing to have, good comparison. 4K 24. We're going into the shade really quickly. Whoa, let's see what happens. Okay, not bad, not bad. I feel like the X3 is struggling still, but the Pocket 3 adjusts very quickly to that difference. And maybe the quality on the Pocket 3 is going to be significantly better. I do feel myself having to manually adjust the Pocket 3. Like I'll twist my wrist one way or the other more just to try and make sure that I'm getting the camera to turn and keep me centered. Obviously, if I throw the tracking on, that takes all of that responsibility away from me. And now I'm just going, so I don't even have to think about it, which is nice. But at the same time, I know that if I'm not moving my hand with the X3, then I'm staying in the center. Like as long as I don't twist my hand, I'm good. Whereas with the Pocket 3, if you're not paying attention, that gimbal can shift on you. And even right now, it's shifting around. So that's an interesting thing to consider, I suppose. I don't know how much that matters, if people like the moving, floating footage. And then if I turn the gimbal thing off, now I'm just walking in the frame. So not bad. I do have the tilt lock on, so it's not going to go up and down much, and it will kind of follow side to side. So that's nice. Cars going by, no worries there. So, gotta love that. And let's sit down here for a second. Try this. Again, I mean, the image on the Pocket 3 looks significantly better from what I'm seeing, but that's also the screen. Like, the screen is really good on the Pocket 3. And maybe the X3 screen isn't as good, but the cameras, we'll find out. We're about to switch over to 360 mode. So I'm now filming in 2.7K at 60 frames per second, and the X3 looks terrible compared to the Pocket 3. The reason that I'm doing this is because this is the this is where you can free frame. The FOV plus for the X3 means that I can like make this horizontal or vertical later, and then obviously for the Pocket 3 I don't have that option, but we can at least see the quality comparison. But 2.7K is what I'm filming at, and I'm a little bit sketched out by what I'm seeing because it looks way diminished. I'm hoping that's not the case for the actual final video, but like, yikes. So we're gonna go this way really quickly. Man, the Pocket 3 really struggles to keep you in frame though. It's kind of annoying, and like I don't know, I don't love that. I feel like I'm constantly losing myself with the Pocket 3 when I'm talking. So maybe if I put the tracking on, that'll make a difference. We'll see. But again, once the tracking is on for the Pocket 3, it starts to feel much more shaky, because the whole idea of the tracking is the gimbal is sitting still and you're moving around and it's following you. When you're moving and the gimbal is moving with you, it just starts to be a lot of motion, in my opinion, over the course of the video. So we'll see. Yikes. Man, the X3 looks like a degenerate old man in this one. Gosh, I look much younger in the Pocket 3's video just because everything's sharper. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, I'm turning that off. I don't really like the way that's working out. So the field of view for the Pocket 3 with the vertical is just really small. Like I said, I know I could put the FOV on there or the wide angle lens on there, and it would give me a little more. I mean, it's not bad, but like when the camera's moving, that impacts it a lot. So this footage is going to be very telling. Not too concerned about what it looks like when you're running. I don't see myself ever running with the Pocket 3 for like filming purposes, just because you have to hold it too far away from you to really get it there. We'll see. So here's the thing. I've got both cameras filming right now, and the Pocket 3 is in square mode. The goal being that I could like reframe and use this later is my hope. That's what I'm thinking. And then the X3 is in 360 mode. Gorgeous, all-inclusive 360, just incredible. It's so bright outside. I'm gonna walk through a bunch of shade right here. You're gonna see this happen as I come into it, and we'll see how the cameras handle it. Really curious about this whole reframing option for the Pocket 3, because this would be the only way I think I could actually use the camera or keep it, or justify keeping it. But even then, I really don't like the idea of running with this camera, like the gimbal and everything, just because you have to turn it off to run. And like the X3, just, it's a solid object, you know? It's just a solid object. Plus you've also obviously got like the X3, I can push this thing way out, like way out from where I am. So we're gonna do that actually really quickly. Let's see what we got here. Boom, baby. I mean, that's just like a completely different animal. I've used this enough to know exactly what I'm gonna get with that. There's no need to carry it on. Let's do this. Let's go for a little jog that way and just kind of see how the cameras handle the run, okay? So I'm out here running with the X3, the Pocket 3. Everything's going great. Hopefully they're both handling it well. I definitely feel like I'm having to work harder to keep myself in frame with the Pocket 3. That's the issue, is like the gimbal moves. So if you're not paying attention, the gimbal is gonna kind of shift you out of frame, whereas like with the X3, that just can't happen. You're just kind of in frame. So yeah, that's an interesting one. All right, I think we've got enough here to know the answer to any questions that I might have, so